Welcome back to a brand new video. This is Timelapze bringing you a couple of treats. I have a funny little thing that happens at the very end of the last game where the Electro Wizard actually got permastunned, which just shows you how broken the Executioner is, which I found to be a little bit humorous. But before that, I was able to push up into the local range with this deck on screen and these card levels. But more importantly, I joined Coltonw83's, which you can see on the screen. Shout out to Knack, who's just right ahead of me. At the end, I'll show you that he made TV Royale. You might have seen he was running a troll deck, and our clan actually got ranked on global after 2 days. We finally got everybody organized into the one clan. There will be a link below that you can just type into the search bar to find any of our family clans. It's just the word wide, W-I-D-E, with a little trademark symbol. For Android, you'll have to copy paste via the clipboard, and for Apple, it's under the emojis if you're looking for the trademark symbol. So I want to show you the last two games I played, both of which were against Golem decks, Golem pump decks, which typically is a very difficult deck to overcome. I was just showing you some of my past performance as well. If you want to pause and see any of the players that I played, if you recognize somebody, great. But I'm going to jump into it right now. This is on ladder, and you may say, with my card levels, why do I not have any commons in my deck? This deck is really not built for ladder, but I was just wanting to show how viable it is and how much some of these cards can really make up for level disadvantages or any discrepancies. Like freeze, for example, you can have really weak cards and drop a freeze, and your cards just become infinitely stronger, especially freeze on defense if you have, say, a bowler, an executioner, and maybe even guards, or another bowler and executioner. That's one way to completely destroy somebody's offense if you freeze it. Here's an example where I right away went pretty aggressive. He dropped a bowler, I started pressuring the other lane, which is a pretty typical move to do, is pressure the other lane. And here's something that I found a little bit funny. Right away I dropped the golem, and those guards actually drew in the minions. And because they take so many hits to kill guards, I was able to negate all the damage on my left tower, bringing my king tower down a little bit weaker. But if you look at his towers, they're severely crippled. I'm not too far behind in the elixir count. He does have a pump down, but I am not worried about that pump whatsoever. One thing that this deck does really well is going towards the lane of the pump, or if you can't do that, going towards the lane of the threat. He's playing Golem deck, and I always just assume everybody's got lightning, but he did not have lightning, which really helped me. It's funny, he used tornado, and I just turned around and then used my tornado, which got a little bit of value out of there. I was able to distract his troops while my Inferno was able to take everything down. Luckily, I didn't take any damage there. So still, you're seeing that these plays are really not difficult plays. I would not call myself a god when it comes to playing good cards at the right time. It's just seeing the deck over and over and over, and that muscle memory and repetition, knowing what to do every single time you see something, and doing it enough times by doing it wrong. If you do it wrong enough times, you figure out what you did wrong and you do it better the next time. One thing that his deck actually lacked was he had Mega Minion instead of minions. Graveyard is just really difficult to deal with, and right there you can just see like the RNG of it. It was hard for his Executioner, which is also a broken card, to get any damage in. But as I was saying, that was actually a really good prediction. Minions, at that time he did have it in rotation. The last time he didn't have it in rotation. The main thing I try to do with this deck is just kind of thwart all the really threatening cards by making sure that their cards are not in rotation when I'm trying to play my offense and when I'm playing defense, knowing which cards they have in rotation. So the main difficult thing to do with this deck is when you see somebody running lightning, you basically have a lightning rod in that all your cards are going to get lightning down all the time. And lightning is so meta right now, I come across it almost every game. So that game was actually really surprising. He wasn't running lightning, even though he's running a heavy deck. I was surprised, but it did come back to bite him in the butt. And the last game I'm going to be showing, this is going to be a shorter video, is this one right here, where at the very end I'm able to get 2 Executioners down, and that stun effect on their axe boomeranging actually perma-stunned an Electro Wizard, and I'm not sure how long it would have perma-stunned him for. He didn't have much health, and when you have these axes flying at you, they hit pretty hard as it is. So I was able to perma-stun him at the very end, which was a little bit humorous. I'm not sure if I BM, but it was one of those things where you just have to kind of laugh. So again, you see him putting down a pump, and I'm running right into it. I am not afraid to go in the direction of his pump. And a little bit of a misplay right there. I should have played my tornado one closer to my executioner, which I found out a lot of people have been countering the executioner by dropping something right at the bridge, right when they cross. So you have to get your tornado a little bit back to suck those things in. It's actually funny when you see somebody do prediction elite barbs, which are actually on the screen right now, having them do prediction elite barbs and tornadoing them away to really get all but crippled. They aren't really able to do anything after taking 2 or 3 hits from your executioner without even doing any damage on the executioner. Your tower can almost take them out. Those ones happen to be max. So another thing I want to talk about is when you're playing on ladder, there are certain cards that have a little bit more value than their stated value. I got a lucky bowler in there and got one cheap shot on his tower right there. He should have stopped that. He should have played his log probably first, but minor misplays. But one thing when you're playing on ladder to notice is the cards that you're using, knowing how much value they have. There is their elixir cost, and on an even playing field, they're basically worth what their elixir cost is. And then there's combining cards. Combining the Ice Golem and Graveyard, for example, is much better than 7 elixir if you were to drop, say, what's another 7 card combination? If you bowler and Ice Golem. Well, if you put the Ice Golem behind the bowler, you're not really going to get much value out of it. So another piece that I use is when they have multiple troops right here and you've got a bowler and an executioner, getting that tornado in there to get a little bit more value out of those attacks that you're getting. So I was able to all but kill everything he had on the board just by getting a little bit extra value out of my cards. So one thing I'm always looking for is getting extra value. A way to get extra value is having things on the board and dropping, say, a freeze. Dropping a freeze when you have multiple cards on the board is very difficult to deal with. So we're coming up towards the end of the game here, and this is when we get the double executioners on the board, and we're able to perma-stun out this Electro Wizard, which is just a display of how broken the executioner really is right now. You may have noticed I was really getting high on elixir. I could feel like I was taking over the show when it came to the elixir advantage. Even though he has a pump, I have too many cards, don't know what to play, so I was able to just wait there. But you can see without lightning, this deck just starts to turn into a beatdown deck. So let's watch this Electro Wizard get perma-stunned right here. 1, 2, super confused. There he goes. So a little bit funny to see at the end. I'm gonna flip it back to my deck if you want to copy it down. I would say this is variation 2.1, and shout out to Knack who made it onto TV Royale. He was running a little bit of a troll deck. When you get into the top 200 or top 100 and you run a unique deck, you have a little bit better chance to get on. So good for him. Unfortunately, he did not win that game, but you can see running a clone deck is probably not the thing you want to be doing when executioners are running rampant. So I hope you enjoyed a couple of games going against the Golem. If you hate Golem, try this deck. It's a control deck. You should be able to do fairly well. Thanks.